A powerful new chapter in India's foreign policy is unfolding. Prime Minister Modi on Sunday began his 5-day, 3-nation visit with a stop in Cyprus, marking the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to the island nation in over 2 decades. He was received at the airport by the Cyprus president. But this visit isn't just strategic, it's also symbolic. Cyprus is among India's top 10 foreign investors, with billions flowing into tech, into shipping and energy, and a fresh defense agreement signed just last year. To unpack the significance of this entire visit, let's bring in Dr. Chellaney, who's with us at the moment. Dr. Chellaney, always a pleasure to have you on NDTV. It's the first Indian Prime Minister's visit in 23 years as far as Cyprus is concerned. Would you say this is a diplomatic routine or a strategic signal to Turkey and by extension to Pakistan?
It is clearly a strategic message to Ankara. Cyprus is small, but it's very important. It's important regionally, it's important to India's diplomacy. The fact is that Cyprus has been involved in a territorial dispute with Turkey since 1974, and India's growing engagement with Cyprus reinforces the coalition opposing Turkish expansionism. In terms of the bilateral aspects, we should not forget that unlike Turkey, which has a strategic and military nexus with Pakistan, Cyprus has long stood by India. It has long backed India's bid for a permanent seat at the UN Security Council. It is a country that is set to assume the presidency of the EU Council next year. It's country rich in gas, natural gas, though Turkey is obstructing Cyprus's gas exports. But I think India's engagement with Cyprus could enhance Cyprus's role in energy diplomacy while expanding India's footprint in the Mediterranean region and reinforcing the coalition opposing Turkish expansionism.
Just building on what you're saying, what does our Prime Minister Cyprus stopover then tell us, sir, about India's new appetite for muscular diplomacy, particularly after Operation Sindoor?
The message that Turkey is getting from India's engagement with Cyprus, that New Delhi is working to deepen its ties with Turkey's regional rivals. And these regional rivals include not just Cyprus, but Greece, Armenia, and Egypt. These 4 countries, Greece, Armenia, Egypt, and Cyprus, are all very important for Indian diplomacy. And greater Indian engagement with these countries is a clear signal to Turkey that its strategic and military alliance with Pakistan is not cost-free.
Right, as you are highlighting, Dr. Chellaney, New Delhi is working to deepen its ties with Turkey's regional rivals, it seems. In terms of the order of Prime Minister Modi's visits, Cyprus, Canada, then Croatia, Dr. Chellaney, what would you say the underlying message here is to NATO as well as the EU?
First, it's clear that India is a rising power. Its importance globally is being recognized by the fact that now every G7 summit has India present. The Indian Prime Minister is especially invited to a G7 summit. This reinforces India's global role. The G7 member states' share of the global GDP has been on decline, and the relevance of the G7 itself is being questioned in the West. So to stay relevant, the G7 needs non-Western countries like India. India is projected to remain the world's fastest growing major economy. And Modi's presence at the G7 summit reinforces the growing importance of India in any major international meeting. But Prime Minister Modi is going as a special guest, as a special invitee, and therefore, on the first day of the deliberations at the G7, normally tend to involve only the G7 states, the special invitees, and this time it will be Also, Zelensky, as a special invitee to the G7 summit, they intend to participate on day 2 of the summit. But this provides an opportunity, for example, to Prime Minister Modi
Indeed.
to engage with other G7 states. And therefore, even though the visit of Prime Minister Modi to Alberta, Canada is going to be short, it's going to be a packed schedule for the Prime Minister because he'll be holding pull-asides, as they say it, pull-asides at his meetings on the sidelines with a number of G7 leaders, as well as perhaps with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine.
Well, all eyes will be on the G7 summit in Canada as well. For more than one reason, we'll of course keep in touch with you, Dr. Chellaney, as always. Thank you so much for making time for us.